Tonight on CFTK-TV, the Terrace Mariners took home gold medals in provincials, the Paris Olympics are underway, and how will Jasper respond to disastrous wildfires, creating speculation on how the town will move forward.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, I'm Damian Smith. Thank you for joining us. A public notification has been sent out by the Dease Lake RCMP asking for help to find a man that went missing at the end of last week. The missing man is named Maverick Blackburn and was last seen publicly on July 24th. Blackburn has been described as an Indigenous man that is around 5'7" and weighs close to 178 pounds, who also has both black hair as well as brown eyes, as was last seen wear a blue and gray long sleeve shirt, brown boots, and black jeans. Anyone who has the whereabouts of Blackburn is asked to call the Dease Lake RCMP at 250-771-4111, or if they wish to remain anonymous, they can call the BC Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. A couple of weeks ago, a medallion was brought back to Terrace in a big provincial win for the Miners Softball Association. And with that, I got to catch up with some of the players and coaches.
Getting lots of home runs.
Winning gold. Winning gold.
How many home runs did you get?
Too many.
Too many to count?
One. One.
Got a lot of hits, a couple walks, played good defense. I would say it was an overall pretty good tournament.
That is the Terrace Mariners, a U13 softball team who made the 12-hour trek to Merritt, BC for provincials from July 15th to the 17th, coming home with gold medals around their neck. A long journey welcomed with 3 days in a row of over 30 degrees in scorching heat. The team of 12 players went a perfect 7-0 in the tournament, making the weekend's worth. It took the Mariners a bit to get the ball rolling, but they never looked back.
Definitely when we played our first game, I thought we were going to lose when we were down by 2. And when we played PG, when I seen Andrew on the mound, I thought we were going to lose, but we came in clutch.
Seeing their adjustment mid-game and being able to, find that part of themselves where they just channeled the coaching, channeled the right attention towards the game and make that adjustment in game and then be able to come up with that first win.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We just I think it was Cruz or Brython that started us off with a hit and a run, and then all of a sudden it was contagious and everybody else sort of jumped on that train, and yeah, we turned, and then the rest of the weekend it felt smooth sailing.
The Mariners ended the season on a high note, but the Terrace Miners Softball Association welcomes everyone to join the over 25 years of history.
My kids play a lot of sports, and I would say that Terrace Miners Softball is a really great organization, especially if you're a first-time player and you're maybe a little bit nervous or haven't tried softball. All of the coaches, all of the teammates are really welcoming and supportive, and it's really fun and laid back.
Maybe just not as intense and a little bit more driven around the fun aspect of the game, in which I think the kids showed that how impactful that can be and like how that can really drive performance as well, having a good time. So yeah, I had a great experience, and just the winning part's great too, but just the experience with the kids and how much growth they had, it's definitely going to drive me to come back and coach in future years for sure.
Last year, this same group were points away from winning the championship, but felt the pain of the silver medal.
The best part for me was probably getting gold after last year when we were so close, but then got second place and lost in the last inning by 1.
Felt good. Last year we came second, down by 1 point, and felt good.
When I got the medal around my neck, I felt very accomplished. I put in a lot of hard work in the off season last year and this season, and just trying to get it as best as I can be, and then it all paid off. Thanks ML Anderson for sponsoring our team.
From CFTK-TV in Terrace, I'm Damian Smith.
Not long ago, Terrace's RCMP branch released a public report that disclosed that during the previous week, the detachment got around 214 calls in total. And also in the report, a few incidents were talked about as well, including one case where officers on foot patrol found a man and woman at an encampment who were in possession of drug paraphernalia that resulted in the man serving a brief 5-day jail stint. This is because he breached several court orders that made him stay at a certain address it would not let him have certain tools. The report next talked about another case where a man was scammed out of around $8,000 after he was given a false opportunity to do some remote work that led him to putting his money into a crypto wallet. As the Paris Olympics are underway, athletes from Canada are feeling the love from around the country. These athletes have dedicated hard, long hours in the sport where they love to get to where they are today. Lauren Fernandez from CTV has more.
They've put in the work for years, and now all eyes are on Team Canada as they compete at the Olympics.
You've got the country, the entire country behind you, and it fills you with so much pride and determination. And it's a feeling unlike any other.
A feeling, the pinch me moment, that CTV's Rosie Etta, a 3-time Olympian, still remembers even decades after she last competed.
Of course there's pressure, of course there's stress, of course you're nervous, but you realize it's supposed to be that way. You're here for a reason, and you just keep telling yourself that. And it's that strong mindset that I've been able to bring with me.
Etta set a world record at the 1996 Games in Atlanta in the 400-meter hurdles. She held that record until 2019. And she says keeping calm under pressure is a key part of Olympic training.
That high-performance, world-class Olympic mindset is unlike any other.
It's that mindset that McGill PhD candidate Siobhan Henderson is looking at. The former competitive diver herself knows firsthand the importance of it.
All athletes physically, technically, tactically are really strong, but what might make a small difference is how you handle some of those stressful moments.
Henderson says leading up to a competition, athletes train their minds for all possible outcomes.
Motivation, resilience, confidence, self-awareness, and some interpersonal skills.
It's something that Etta has carried with her. She remains positive, even though she missed the podium.
But I did okay. I mean, I ran close to my personal best time, and I was happy with that.
And it's that mindset that Henderson says can make all the difference.
Good performance, bad, what can I learn from it? Is really something that's important. Your performance doesn't define you.
And that is also Etta's advice to any athlete. What you can control is how you view the whole experience.
Have fun. Because the rest is going to take care of itself. Please, believe me. These Olympians, they do not need any more guidance because they got there, they did what they needed to do. Now the rest is just going to flow.
And for many athletes, just the chance to represent Canada is already a win. Lauren Fernandez, CTV News.
Now on to an update on how Canadian Olympians are doing at the Paris Games as we wrap up Day 4. Our nation has picked up 5 medals in total, including 2 in gold. Bronze medals were won by Rylan Wiens and Nathan Zomber-Murray in diving, along with Eleanor Harvey in fencing. The lone silver medal was picked up by Summer McIntosh in swimming in the women's 400-meter freestyle. And finally, the gold, Summer McIntosh again with the 400-meter individual medley, along with Krista Deguchi in women's judo. Among the 206 countries participating, Canada places in 9th place. Next up, we'll take a look at the after effects of the Jasper wildfire and what's next for the town. While the country mourns the destruction of Jasper, Alberta, media were available to visit the town after wildfires cooled down just a bit. It's a chilling scene in Jasper after almost being burned to the ground. CTV's Andrew Johnson has more on this developing story.
This was a bike shop, a restaurant, and a liquor store. Over here, the gas station. And there stood a church. That's the way it is on the west side of Jasper after a firefight for the ages.
No matter what we did, we had all the resources we could use. We just couldn't use them on this. Nothing was effective.
Media were escorted into town today to get a sense of the damage and the heroic efforts of firefighters, many of whom lost their own homes. Fire Chief Matthew Conti saw his house catching fire and couldn't do anything about it as he led the struggle to save his community.
It was unfortunate. Yeah, I did lose my own home in that and did notice that when I was out on my patrols. It was pretty overwhelming, but at the same time, there was a lot going on. My daughter probably took it the worst. Obviously, it's belongings, right? All her little mementos and everything she's collected over the years. So she's pretty devastated that she lost a lot of her stuff.
Many trees around town are snapped in half from estimated 100-kilometer-per-hour winds that drove the inferno into Jasper.
They could start hearing trees popping on the streets. All the furniture that's in the little patios areas was being blown onto the roads.
The effort to save critical infrastructure was a success, but it was close. The fire hall, hospital, and a school are only a few hundred meters from the destruction.
Those are very critical infrastructures that if we lost, it would have been years to be able to be rebuilt and allow residents back into the town.
A small wildfire is still being worked on outside of town. The much larger fire that destroyed 1/3 of Jasper is farther out, but it's still out of control. The national park remains closed. There is more wildlife than people. And there is no timeline for the thousands who evacuated to return. Some may choose not to.
Of course it makes me sad. I hope people choose to stay and rebuild in Jasper and be part of what the reconstruction of our community is going to look like, but I also understand that for some people it might be too much.
Losing 30% of a town to wildfire is an incredible hit. But the firefighters and leaders of Jasper we spoke to today also see successfully saving 70% of their community as a hard-fought win, especially key infrastructure that will allow a return to regular life sooner than later.
While the fires take over the headlines across the country, this story hits very hard towards the locals near Jasper who are not only amidst the flames but fighting them as they see their own buildings burn to the ground. Kathy Lee from CTV stopped by the town to talk to some of these firefighters that are also local.
The job is difficult and dangerous, but a calling for firefighters to jump on the front lines of wildfires.
We were all itching to get in there to help. Like we were just, everybody wanted to go.
A fire like this is much bigger than just ourselves, so it's really satisfying for us to be able to help.
The Hinton Fire Department doing their part. Now some are taking a much-needed break. Jenna Sitar returning to Jasper, this time leading a team. Images of destruction hard to put into words.
It was quite raw that, you see Jasper born and raised Hinton, so.
Hinton and Jasper are sister towns. Sitar and her team are among the more than 100 structural firefighters on the ground. Their efforts saving the majority of the town, including Merv and Lori L. Bashforth's home, theirs on the edge of fire.
As a resident, I am just, I can't express how grateful I am and thankful for the work that they've done. I mean, God bless them.
I'm past the panic and the adrenaline rush. And now got to work towards the planning stage.
The next stage for firefighters, monitoring for hotspots. Sitar will contribute for as long as she's needed because fire can burn for months in the ground.
It can burn for kilometers underneath the soil and you wouldn't even detect it until a little opening or a hole shows up. The wind will come up and get into those crevices and then that fire can flare up again.
The fire chief with the municipality of Jasper says not only are firefighters monitoring for hotspots in town, they're also working with Parks Canada and Alberta Wildfire to create a barrier around the town to protect it. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Jasper, Alberta.
Turning to tonight's forecast on the North Coast, it should be cloudy this evening with periods of rain or drizzle. There will also be fog dispatches as well. Winds should be light except south at 30 kilometers per hour over the coastal sections. A low of 14 degrees will be the case. In the Terrace and Kitimat area, it should be mainly cloudy with periods of rain or drizzle later in the evening. There will also be fog dispatches expected at midnight. Winds south at 30 kilometers per hour that will become light this evening. The area will have a low of 12 degrees. And finally, in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, there will be a few clouds and increasing cloudiness before the morning rolls around, and a low of 8 degrees will be the case. On the North Coast, it will be raining for the next 2 days with drizzles of rain on Tuesday and a 60% chance on Wednesday and a high of 15 degrees on both days. Following that, the sun will come back with a slight bump to 17 degrees on Thursday and Friday, and 18 degrees on Saturday. A low of 10 degrees will be on Thursday and Friday night. In the Terrace and Kitimat area, it will be cloudy and rainy tomorrow, Wednesday, and maybe even on Thursday as well, with a 30% chance of showers. The warm weather will come back on Friday at 24 degrees and 26 degrees on Saturday, a low of 9 degrees, which will be on Wednesday night. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, there may be some showers on Wednesday with a 40% chance, but after that, it's a pretty sunny week with some clouds arriving on the weekend. A low of 16 degrees will be on Wednesday and Thursday night. Now on to your Northwest Roadside Report. Highway 16 has limited visibility between Robson River Bridge until the BC-Alberta border and road closures due to the Jasper wildfires. There is also bridge maintenance westbound, utility work in both directions, and electrical maintenance going westbound. Highway 37 has roadside brushing, crack sealing, and paving operations all in both directions. Highway 37A has maintenance as well. Highway 118 has bridge construction. And now let's take a look at our cameras from around the Northwest region. Still to come, retailers are having to put heavy restrictions on items due to an increase in shoplifting. Just installed this past Thursday, a new sign is being built in the Terrace area as you drive past the old Skeena Bridge and into town. The new welcome sign is in front of the Legion on the southeast corner of Apsley Street and Lake Hells Ave, writing welcome in the English and Smalieq language. This project has a new safe 3-meter wide pathway, landscaping, flower boxes, and seating pieces, amongst other improvements. As part of the Lake Hells Gateway Connection project, this sign is a part of other improvements the city is making between the old Skeena Bridge and the entrance to downtown. While shoplifting cases are seeing a steady rise around the nation and retailers are stepping up their protective measures, Pat Foran from CTV has more.
Shoplifting has always been a problem for retailers, but now there is a growing concern over how brazen the stealing has become. Theft happens on a daily basis at many stores, and more retailers want to prosecute those responsible.
It is unfortunately getting worse, and stores are implementing various measures.
Sam Rad, a business consultant and former president of the Paralegal Society of Canada, says there are programs that could help a first-time offender avoid prosecution in some circumstances. But for those convicted of shoplifting, they will end up with a criminal record, which will change their life.
Then you would have to go through the process of getting pardoned from the National Parole Board. With a criminal record, you would be inadmissible to go to the United States. You could potentially hinder yourself in getting employment.
The Retail Council of Canada says escalating violence and weapons being used during thefts is also concerning for businesses, as well as organized crime and group theft.
Where you have multiple people, 3, 4, 5, going into a retail environment and stealing in bulk. Shopping carts full, handful, bagfuls of merchandise.
Stores are faced with increasing security while at the same time trying to make sure shoppers have a positive retail experience. Rad says to anyone considering shoplifting, don't do it.
Don't take the risk. It is not worth it. And the spending money on the legal fees and going through the criminal justice system and the public embarrassment and embarrassments amongst family, it is not worth it.
Now we turn our attention to the stock market. The Canadian dollar is down 0.13 cents. The price of gold is down $2.40. Oil is down $1.35. Natural gas is down 1 cent. Aluminum is up $18.50. TSX is down 35.24, the Venture Index is down 4.96, the Dow Jones is down 49.41, and NASDAQ is up 12.32. Still ahead, a response from the SWAT team regarding the shooting towards Donald Trump. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since the shooting towards U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump. Now, the SWAT team that was on scene caught up with ABC News to disclose more information to the public. Here's Rena Roy with an update.
In their first public comments, members of the Beaver County SWAT team speaking exclusively with ABC News, describing what they say were planning and communication failures surrounding the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump. That shooting killed a local firefighter and severely injured 2 others at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania earlier this month. The SWAT team says they noticed the suspect, Thomas Matthew Crooks, nearly 2 hours before the shooting, and something seemed off. At 4:26 p.m., one of the snipers texted, "You see me go out with my rifle, so he knows you guys are up there." By 5:14 p.m., they grew suspicious.
He was looking up and down the building and just wandering around, and it just seemed out of place.
Greg Nichol says he snapped these photos of the shooter and shared them in a group text to local snipers on the scene.
I assumed that there would be somebody coming out to, speak with this individual.
We have to assume that when he put that information out to command, that command took that information and did something with it.
It's unclear if their concerns reached members of Trump's Secret Service detail. The Washington Post reports the agents complained they were not made aware of the warnings.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
The Secret Service declined to respond directly, but tells ABC News it's committed to better understanding what happened and is offering complete cooperation with ongoing investigations. Members of the SWAT team believe they did everything they could to prevent the attack, but accept their share of responsibility. They add they're studying footage of the site because former President Trump plans to hold another rally in western Pennsylvania soon. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Stargazers may have another chance to see the northern lights over the next few days in Canada and parts of the United States. The spectacular light show known as the Northern Lights Aurora or Aurora Borealis could be visible across most of Canada, many northern U.S. states, and some lower Midwest states to Oregon starting Monday night, according to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Geomagnetic Storm Advisory and maps. The likelihood of seeing the northern lights is expected to be lower for areas along or near the U.S.-Canada border heading into Tuesday, the forecast should show. That's all of our news for now. Thank you very much for tuning in here on CFTK-TV.